Hello class, Mr. Garino here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make another page of your website. So, I made my first page of my own personal interest was my Goju-Ru page, which you saw in a previous video. And now I am making a page for Call of Duty. So here's the page and here's it finished, and I'll show you how I went about making it. So you can say I have a picture to the right, text to the left, and then my next picture is to the left, and my text to the right. And then I got three little pictures across the middle here, and text below them. And the text is just some stuff I got from the Call of Duty wiki, and then some things I added in on my own. Like the fact that the reason why I like Call of Duty Ghosts is because of this tracker site, which would light up the outside of the person with this orange or yellow. And I say it like that because the reason why I like the tracker site is because I'm partially colorblind, and sometimes I wouldn't see people if they were camouflaged pretty well, but with the tracker site I would be able to see them better. So I think that's orange, or maybe it's yellow, doesn't really matter. I know I can see it. So that's why I liked it. And then I liked the Stonehenge map because it was big. And because I liked the reward you get called the Griffin. Because I could fly overhead and drop bombs and things, and there was really no overhead cover here. And you could just fly it around, and it was just, I don't know, kind of fun. And these were three other maps I liked from Call of Duty Ghosts. So I like most of the games, not every single one of them, but this one was one of my favorites. And I think when I think back, the reason why was this tracker site was very helpful to me. Okay, so that was one of my interests. That's what I made. I got the Call of Duty banner from some website. It was not transparent. I brought it into Photoshop, made it transparent so it would look good with this blue background. And what I did to make my website is I downloaded a bunch of images, I downloaded a bunch of text, I put it in Notepad. And the reason why I like Notepad is it gets rid of all formatting because it's just specifically text. And then when I copy paste it to put it on the site, I format it the way I want. So I saved this file so I wouldn't have to go back and forth looking for things. And I saved all my pictures and then I uploaded them. One thing I found is this new web format or picture format on the web, WEBP, is pretty common, but CodeHS doesn't seem to like it. So I opened each one of those files in Photoshop and then just did a quick export to a PNG and then used the PNG. It's the same picture, just a different file format, and CodeHS liked that. So I uploaded them all and then I was ready to go. So that was my finished page. Now I'll show you how I went about making it. And here's the same page with something slightly different, where you see there's the background, instead of being a color, it's just an image. I'll probably show how to do that in a later video, but if it's something you already want to do and you're kind of can't wait to do it, just ask me and I'll show you how. But I'll probably get around to making a video on how to do just that later on. So trying to break it up here and not do too many things at once. Okay, so the first thing I did was I set up, after my navigation section, I set up my main section of my body. Oops. Okay, and then in my main section, the first thing I did was I put in my image. So I'm just copying and pasting from another browser where I have everything there, so you don't have to watch me type. And here's the link in CodeHS, so I had to upload it, of course. It gave me the link. And by the way, if you upload a bunch of them and then you're like, oh, darn, I don't know what the link is for which one, you can always go to, and I might have shown this before, account settings. I'm going to open it in a new tab so I don't lose the tab I'm on. you go to code history, you go to uploads, and then here's all your uploads. If you name them something meaningful, you'll know what they are. If you did not name them something meaningful, well, then you can just click on it and it'll show you what it is. Okay, so that's how you can go back to all the things that you've uploaded. Well, let me close these out, go back here. Okay, so that's my image. So I put that on and I save this, and then I open it in a new browser, and I go to Call of Duty, and you see it's over here on the right because I floated it to the right. Let me open this in a new tab. Previous page I did this. I put something, showed you how to put it in the center, and then I also showed, oops, if I can grab this thing, if you drag it left and right, how the pictures resize. This is kind of the newer, better way to do it. You're going to see with this float, it works, and it works good on a full screen, but it's not really responsive that much. When I put the text, it's not going to look so good when we shrink it. But on a full screen, it looks great. So now let's go back, and after the picture, so here we have float to the right, that's what puts it to the right, margin of 0, padding of 25, and then the actual link to the image. I'll explain the padding in a second. So now let me put in my text. Again, I'm just copying it from my other screen so you don't have to watch me type. So I put a paragraph, I put style. I didn't want it to be small font, but I don't want to call it a header, even though that kind of automatically makes it bigger, because to the web browsers and search engines, then they think it's a header. Really, it's a paragraph. So to be accurate, I call it a paragraph, and then I just style my font to be bigger because I just wanted bigger text instead of smaller text. One, because I wanted it to be bigger to look good, but more importantly, I wanted it to be bigger so it would take up more room so that you could see how it wraps around the picture. So because if it's really small, it's kind of hard to notice. It doesn't take up that much room. So I want the text to take up a lot of room. So pretty good amount of room. If it was smaller, it might just be like one line, but I wanted it to be several lines. So you can see the picture is on the right, the text is on the left. Okay, let's close this out and go back over here. And then I put in another picture and the text, just copying it from my other browser. Let me go to the end here, hit enter. Let me go enter again just so we can see that's the one picture and then the next picture. So now this is float left, and let's save it. Look at it in a new browser window. And here's my picture to the left, but my text that goes with this picture is up here, not down here. So the way to accomplish that is, let's put them in, let me make sure I got the right, let's put them in a division, in a div, so that this text and this picture are in the same div, and this picture and this text are in a different div, but these two are in the same div. This text and this picture are in a div, and this text and this picture are in their own div. And then what that does is it divides it out and keeps them together so that you can get the text flowing around just the picture you want it to flow around. So, and if you do the div and you say inline block, that's what blocks it out. So here I'm going to say div and then style display inline block, like in a block, like it's a rectangle of this stuff. So then close the div, and then on this one it's the same thing. And then don't forget I went to the end by pressing the end key on my keyboard, and then don't forget to close that div. So now that should look better. Let's see. You can see how now it's floating from one side to the other. This is kind of high up here, I would say. So you could bring it down some, and since it's text, to bring text down, you could just use line breaks. So I'm going to come in here after the image. I don't know how that got moved up one. But before the text, put a bunch of line breaks. Now we could have done line breaks without putting the div, but that's not really the best way to move pictures around. Okay, so I got my text to come down a little, be next to that. And this one's already down some. Did I put in the breaks without? Oh yeah, that was already there when I copy pasted, didn't realize it. I meant to leave that out and show you how to bring it down, but I guess I had pasted it already in. But you can see if you don't have them on the other picture how it looked kind of crappy. And now on this first picture, the padding in the margin, because this has sort of an angle to it, it's a little hard to tell. But this one you can see like my text is right up against the edge of my browser. And I don't really like that. It's not right up against this picture, but it's real close to the edge. So if I go in over here and I change this from 0 to 25, let's see what effect that has. And now you can see, although this "the" is a little close, I don't know why, but you can play around with the padding and the margin. In fact, maybe what I really should do is take this padding and make it 0 and show you how that looks. Let's make this, oops, that's the margin. I forgot what I did. Let's put them both at 0 to illustrate. And you can see it's like right up against the picture, right up against the edge here. So then let's go back and change them. Make it like really big, bigger than you probably want, but just to illustrate. So big that now it looks silly, right? So that's why something like 25 usually looks good. Oops. Make it 25 on both. Make it 25 up here. Save it. Look at a browser tab. And I can see it looks pretty good. Okay, so now we'll go back over here and play with this stuff and do what you like. Make it look the way you want. For a further explanation on padding and margin, you can look it up. Margin is the space outside of a page element. Padding defines the space surrounding content within a web element. Margin controls the distance between separate elements on the page. Padding sets the distance between the content and the borders of its containing element. So if you even want some padding, oops, here we go. So if you want some padding on the outside here, not just around the image, you could go into where your text is and put some padding on that. And oops, so that it's not all the way. To the edge. Did I miss something there or put it in the wrong spot? Oh, yeah, I put it over here. I meant to put it over here. Because that's the one. I mean, you put it everywhere, but I just want to trying to illustrate. Ay, caramba. Okay, I think I found I misspaced over here in the wrong spot. There we go. There's no such thing as p adding. Well, let's go do that again. And there we go. So we got some padding around the outside there. Some padding here, but also we have a padding there. So now it's like doubled up. So you can be careful about that. You can get carried away. So you fiddle with it and you make it look good the way, the way you want it to look. And now remember I had those 3 pictures next to each other. So the way I decided to do that, and boy do I have a lot of tabs open here. Let me close these. And the way I did that was I made a table. And so a table, a little bit of an old style of way of putting things in rows and columns. But let's just see. I'm going to do the whole table in one shot. Copy paste it in. So what I did is I made a table with a border 1, and then I have a table row, open and close. Those are my 3 images going across. Of course I uploaded them to CodeHS. There's the link. I also set a width of 500 and a height of 300. This way they would all look the same size. And I didn't do the margin thing, I just did padding 25px. And then I got my 3 paragraphs, put them in the second row, inside the boxes, table data, 1, 2, and 3. No padding or anything there. I forget actually if that looked good or not. Well, let's take a look. And here's my table. You'll see the text is kind of close to the border of the table. So I probably could have used some padding there. Hadn't thought of it before. So if I add some padding to each one of the table datas for each one of the paragraphs, it'll look like this. And I don't know, maybe that's a little too much. So you go back and you play with it, and maybe instead of 25 you make it 15 or whatever it is you like. And maybe that looks a little better. So you play with it and you see what you like. So here's my page for Call of Duty Ghosts. So this is another page. We had the Gojuru page, or I have the Gojuru page, and I have my other interests playing Call of Duty. And the difference between the 2 styles, or 2 methods, is when I drag this one, you can see the text does move as it wraps around the picture, but the picture never resizes. And I don't know, maybe you like that. It certainly looks good on a big monitor, all laid out nicely. But if you're on a cell phone, it may not look so great, or a smaller screen. So you can see how, rather than the pictures resizing, they just get cropped, and if you want to see them, you have to scroll. Now maybe you like that feature better that way because your pictures stay full size, or maybe you don't. Maybe you like it resizing. Of course, when they resize, like on this one, let's go down to the small. When they resize, then they get smaller, they're harder to see, but you don't get the scroll bar. So it's a preference. So I showed you 2 different ways. The more responsive way and the older, more traditional way with the scroll bars. So you see which way you like to make your pages. You make one way and one the other if you like, or make them both the same way because that's the way you like your pages to look. This is your website. Do it the way you want. But now you have a way to make two different ways to make your pages of your interests. Thank you very much.